Detective Mark Johnson's office reeked of old coffee and quiet menace. He leaned back in his cracked leather chair, eyes narrowed on the woman in front of him. "You don't look like you belong around here," he said, voice slow and sharp. "Let me guess. You're here with some excuse, maybe to dodge a little heat?" Adriana Silva didn't flinch. She'd heard worse. Her fingers tightened around the handle of her briefcase, the leather worn smooth over years of use. Outside, rain slid down the precinct windows. Inside, the air was thick with something uglier. "I'm here to report a lost backpack," she said, her voice calm. "My son Miguel left it at the park. The school needs a report for insurance." Mark chuckled, but his eyes stayed hard. "Funny. We just got a tip about a woman selling drugs near that school. Matches your description. Bit of a coincidence, don't you think?" Her heart beat faster, not in fear, but in recognition. She knew this pattern, knew how quickly suspicion could become accusation. Her suit, her baritone poise, none of it mattered once her skin spoke louder than her credentials. "Detective, he raised a hand, cutting her off. "I'm searching your bag." "Now." She stared at him. Silence pulsed between them. Somewhere down the hall, a phone rang. Adriana didn't move. Instead, she calmly opened her briefcase and pulled out a folded document. "Before you violate protocol, I suggest you read this." Mark snatched it from her hand, clearly expecting nothing. But as his eyes scanned the first few lines, his posture shifted. His grin evaporated. Silence swallowed the room. Adriana didn't need to explain. Her bar card spoke loudly, but it was the attached letter that mattered. 3 successful lawsuits against police officers for racial discrimination. Settlements, firings. Names. Mark lowered the paper slowly. "Dr. Adriana Silva," he said. "Civil rights attorney." "That's right," she said. "Now, about your anonymous tip, I'd like to see the details. Who filed it? When?" Mark's mouth opened, but no words came out, because she continued, reaching into her bag again. "This recorder has captured everything since I walked in, including your comments about how I don't belong here." He paled. Around them, the buzz of the precinct seemed to fade. Other officers glanced over, some frowning, some stone-faced. Mark's reputation preceded him, and not in a good way. "Look, maybe we got off on the wrong foot," he said, voice suddenly gentler. "No," Adriana said flatly. "You knew exactly which foot you stepped on." He swallowed hard. "You filed something already?" She nodded slowly. "Yesterday, with Internal Affairs. I've been gathering evidence about this precinct for months. Harassment, profiling, intimidation. I didn't come here by accident today, detective. I came to see if you'd prove me right." Mark stood there, silent, paper trembling in his hand. The phone rang again, sharp, insistent. The desk sergeant answered, nodded, then looked over. "Detective Johnson," he called. "Line 2, Internal Affairs." Mark didn't move. Adriana watched him, unblinking. "I think you should take that," she said. Mark finally turned, but he didn't lift the phone. His jaw clenched. His world, once solid, now cracked beneath him. She rose from her chair, briefcase in hand. But before she left, she turned back. "Oh, and for the record," she said, voice cool, "you just became Exhibit A." Then she walked past the desks, past the sideways glances, past the walls plastered with badges and empty slogans. Every step deliberate, every breath measured. As she reached the exit, someone stepped in through the precinct doors, tall, soaked from the rain, a worn manila envelope in his hand. He spotted Adriana instantly. "You Silva?" he asked. "Got something for you. It's about that internal affairs complaint." She took the envelope silently. Her eyes flicked over the return label. The IT wasn't what she expected. The man turned and left as quickly as he came. Adriana stood frozen for a moment, envelope in hand. Inside, a familiar name stared back at her in bold type. Detective Raymond Ellis. Closed case file, 2018. She hadn't seen that name in years, and she knew exactly what it meant. The past wasn't done with her. And Mark Johnson? He might be the door, but not the end. Not even close. "Detective," the sergeant said, hanging up the phone. "Internal Affairs wants you in their office immediately. And there's more." He hesitated, glancing at Adriana. 3 more complaints just came in. All against you. Mark Johnson's face drained of color. 3? That's not possible. How can there be more? Adriana opened her briefcase and pulled out a neatly organized folder. I never said I was working alone, she said calmly. For weeks, I've been meeting with victims. Some were too afraid to speak until now. Today gave them the courage. Mark's breath caught. His routine day had collapsed into a PR disaster. He glanced at the other officers, but none would meet his eye. His power, his fear-based control, was disintegrating. The sergeant stepped closer to Adriana and quietly asked, "Doctor, I speak with you privately?" In a corner away from listening ears, his voice dropped to a whisper. "I've seen what you're fighting. Mark forced me to falsify reports, delete footage, rewrite statements. I saved copies. All of it. I kept them in case something like this ever came." Adriana met his eyes. "You're willing to testify?" "I am," he nodded. "I've had enough." That was the moment the case shifted. This wasn't just about Mark's prejudice. It was about systemic corruption, documents altered, crimes buried, a department silenced under fear. Adriana had opened a door, and behind it was Rot stretching far beyond one man. Mark, unaware of this private exchange, was pacing near the squad room, furiously dialing his phone. No one answered. The political contacts who once shielded him were now ghosts. The fallout was too radioactive. Then the precinct doors burst open. A young woman rushed in, soaked from the rain. "Dr. Silva," she called. "The press is outside. Someone leaked the story. Also, the U.S. Attorney's Office just opened an independent investigation." Mark spun around. How the hell did the press know? Who leaked this? Adriana didn't flinch. Public discrimination is a public matter. And as a civil rights attorney, I have a duty to make sure it's seen. She wasn't gloating, but there was steel in her voice. Mark now saw the truth. She hadn't come here to react. She had come prepared. "How many people are in on this?" he whispered. "All the people you underestimated," she replied. "And a few more who decided they're done being silent." Just then, the sergeant returned, holding a cardboard evidence box. "Dr. Silva," he said, "everything I preserved, orders, altered case files, and names of others who were coerced." Mark stared in disbelief. You betrayed me?" "No," the sergeant said. "You betrayed all of us." The door opened again. 3 men in suits entered, stern-faced. Adriana recognized them. A federal prosecutor, an internal affairs inspector, and the chief of police. The room stilled. "Detective Johnson," the chief said sharply, "you are hereby suspended, effective immediately. Hand over your badge and weapon." Mark stepped back. "Chief, wait, I didn't." The chief cut him off. 7 formal complaints in one day. A recording. Falsified reports. "We've seen enough." Mark reluctantly removed his badge and firearm, hands trembling. The federal prosecutor turned to Adriana. "Dr. Silva, we'll need your formal testimony and all the evidence. This may expand into a broader probe." Adriana nodded. "There's more. The sergeant has evidence of direct coercion to alter documents." The inspector looked up. "Coercion and fabrication? That changes everything." Mark's voice cracked. "This is a setup. She came here to ruin me." Adriana stepped forward, gaze calm but unyielding. "Detective Johnson, are you accusing me of orchestrating your words and actions? Because the only voice on that recording threatening a baseless search is yours." "You twisted this," he shouted. "You used race as a weapon." The prosecutor raised a brow. "So your defense is that you were tricked into being racist?" Silence followed. Then the blow that crushed him, Adriana's assistant leaned in and whispered something. Adriana's eyes narrowed. "Prosecutor," she said, "we've just received word. Detective Johnson is under separate federal investigation for financial irregularities. Bank activity inconsistent with his declared income." Mark's face turned ghostly pale. "That's unrelated, irrelevant," he barked. "Actually," said the prosecutor, "corruption and abuse of power often go hand in hand." Adriana stepped closer, her voice now firm and final. "Detective Johnson, you built your career by preying on people you thought had no voice. You abused authority, silenced truth, and treated communities like enemies. He said nothing. Today, she continued, you learned that justice may take its time, but it arrives prepared. Mark looked around the room, once filled with allies, now strangers. No one defended him. No one even looked at him. Adriana turned to the prosecutor. I'll deliver the rest of the files by this evening. The chief nodded. We'll reopen every case his name touched. As Mark was escorted out, Adriana stood still, watching. She hadn't come for revenge. She came for reckoning, and it had arrived.